Hello children, I'm going to teach you a thing or two about some of my favorite products that I use every day, not every day, but every day I'm in drag. From the hairspray to the eyeliner to the powders to the everything. I wanted to go through and just tell you a little bit more about what I am using and why I'm picking those things and whether or not that's make or break. Maybe there's an alternative, maybe this is the only thing that I know of to work, who knows? We're just gonna jump right into it. I've got a different setup this time. I've also got a microphone, which I was gifted for Christmas. So hopefully this adds to the setup. So the first product that I'm going to use is this Anastasia Beverly Hills pen liner. I have it in the color Granite, and I only really do my eyebrows with this one color. Something that I do is I will always keep my eyebrows consistent or fairly consistent from look to look, and that I think just gives me a little bit of recognizability. And the way that I do that is by always using the same shade and more or less always doing the same shape as well. And I really like these pen liners because you get the definition, you get the detail, and they're really easy to clean up. Like this eyebrow here, it's messy, but all I have to do is take a flat brush and lick it, and then I get to clean the eyebrow up. And the reason I do that as opposed to using concealer is because whenever you clean up an eyebrow with concealer, you get a bit of bleeding into the concealer itself, and then your eyebrows just don't look as crisp and clean. You've seen me do this a few times. Starting off strong with our trusty Anastasia Beverly Hills. The next product that I use is a double whammy. So it's a combination of the Kryolan makeup blend, which is very similar to the Inglot Duraline. And it's basically just like, I think it's silicone based, and you put it into your dry or drier products to make them a little bit more wet. I use this and I dip it in the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade because I'm a drag queen, it's dry. I don't put lids back on things. I just put a few drops in to reactivate the product, swish it around with my brush, and then I can use that, because it's more creamy, I can use that to blend that ombre in the middle of my eyebrows that all the drag queens love. I'll be honest though, just because I do this doesn't make it a good idea, because the makeup blend and the pen liner don't really work together. You can see they go a little bit patchy, but I make it work by just sort of going back and forth until I'm happy with said ombre. Now I go back in with the pen liner and just sort of like fill in some of that patchiness. So that's basically my eyebrows, but because I'm going to potentially be on television today, I don't want shiny reflective eyebrows. So I'm going to jump into the P. Louise Timeless Treasure palette. I really like this palette for multiple reasons. It's just a great staple nude palette, but also the color Forever Ever, what a shitty name, is really close to the color of my eyebrows, so I can use that to sort of mattify the eyebrows and add in a little bit more coverage so it's not patchy or anything like that. The next thing I'm going to do is then, with a concealer brush, dip into the Kryolan TV Paint Stick. These things are a drag queen's favorite, you already know it. But for days like this, the full coverage of the Kryolan TV Paint Stick really comes in handy. I use the white one for any highlights because I am quite fair-skinned, of course. So I find that even though no one's highlights realistically are going to be white, this is drag, and that heightened contrast between that and my contour just gives me a filtered effect almost. And the thing with your makeup is you can't trust the lighting that you're going to be in, and you can't trust the angles that people are going to take photos of you with. So you kind of need to apply the filters yourself and make sure you look good from every angle, and that's the secret to looking good. Because it's one thing to do your makeup and then take a photo of yourself in your room, but you're controlling the angle, you're controlling the lighting, you're controlling all of those variables. But when you're out there in the real world, you can't really do that, can you? I'm going to cheat a little bit because I know I'm going to be doing a neutral eye today. So I'm just going to go in with the Makeup Forever Ultra HD stick. Honestly, there's no reason I use this over Kryolan for my contour, apart from I ran out of contour. And this is something that I had. Now, when it comes to makeup sponges, look, let's be real, there is a difference between the high-end ones and the cheap ones, but not enough to make me give a shit. So I wouldn't waste my money on the high-end ones. Sure, they give you a more like velvety finish, let's say, but it's just not worth it. I bought these ones from AliExpress in like, I bought 16 of them because I had to use them for like a makeup class. And now I know it's kind of gross, but I used other people's, or I still use other people's makeup sponges, but hey, it means that I've got one in every single color when I paint my face, you know, non-flesh tone. I'm just gonna remove some of the extra like contour that I've applied around my face, just because it's gonna distract me. I have this weird thing where I'm obsessed with the shape of my eye, and even though I know I'm gonna clean it up later, I kind of have to have it correct at every single point, because otherwise I can't visualize the shapes that I'm gonna be making as easy. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but if you know you're gonna clean it up later, sometimes you should clean it up now, because otherwise it distracts you. Maybe I'm just being anal, I don't know. So the first eyeshadow is this Kryolan white. I only bought it because I went through all of the whites on my palettes. I am a palette girly, not an individual pressed eyeshadow girly, but the thing is, not every single palette has a white, and I used all of the ones that do. And I'm not gonna buy an entire new palette when I already have like 20 to get through. I feel like that's just a bit wasteful. I'm just setting over that white so that none of my other powders stick to it. Now, if we are talking about our favorite eyeshadows, I do really like this P. Louise Timeless Treasures thing. I got it because I did one of their, I had some money one Christmas, and I did one of their advent calendars, and this was the one, the big one for like Christmas, like the 25th. But I basically just wanted to maximize a bunch of bougie products for as little cost as possible, and it worked out. I have so many products of theirs that I still use today, so I definitely lucked out there, because it could have been shit. Apart from P. Louise, which to be honest I only had this one palette of, apart from them though, I do really like the Morphe eyeshadows. I think they have a lot of pigment and they have a great range within their palettes. I look for maximizing, obviously, the quality, but also the opportunities. Oh, no, that's not the right word. I like to maximize usability. I don't know. So I'll always go for a product that has more range with the eyeshadow shades, except this one, but I didn't get to pick this one. Another thing, it's not really a makeup related thing, but another thing that I definitely recommend if you're trying to get better with your makeup is investing in like a proper setup. So like a mirror that isn't handheld. I'm doing this for YouTube purposes, but like an actual like almost vanity mirror. It doesn't have to be expensive. I know there are some like tables that come up with mirrors that are like 60 bucks. The next thing that I do is I will use like a makeup wipe, a good makeup wipe, the Neutrogena Makeup Remover Cleansing Towelette. My favorite, just because they're not dry and they don't like scrape my skin. I use them to take off my makeup like after I'm home from the gig and stuff like that. They just, I don't know, save my skin and they moisturize it and all of that good stuff that you want from a makeup wipe. I also use them to like do a rough cut of my crease, and that way when you remove all of that makeup, it's not going to transfer and bleed into the concealer I'm about to use. So I'm just going to do my regular foundation color. This one is, again, a Kryolan TV paint stick. This is the shade NW, which I find May not match my skin tone, but it matches it close enough. When it comes to drag, you put makeup everywhere, so there's less emphasis on getting the exact right shade. Now, this is a new product, but I really like it. There's these Stila liquid eyeshadows that I think are delicious. Now, I've tried something similar with Kimchi. Kimchi has these diamond shard things, which basically, in theory, is just liquid glitter to be putting wherever you need it. But they're so dry, and I just cannot get the product onto my face without removing what's underneath. So I think Stila did what Kimchi couldn't. Let me go, but I don't know. So I like these because they have the same sort of applicator, and you can just precisely go over that cut crease, kind of like that. Now, I want to look extra sparkly today, so I'm gonna go back in with that P. Louise powder palette thing, and I'm going to take a similar shadow and just pat it on top. So I'm gonna take this bronze, but it's quite a little bit darker, so I'm not gonna do too much. I just want a little extra oomph, but not necessarily all the opacity of this latte colored glitter powder thing. I know it's really hard to see because I'm really well lit right now, but if I just turn down the lights, you can kind of see a little bit more the reflection of the glitter. Maybe. I don't know if this is helpful. Anyway, now we're gonna do our base. Before I do the entirety of my face, I like to go in with the Kryolan primer and some clean hands that doesn't have any glitter, and just dot it around my entire face. But I like to put the most product around where I grow facial hair. So if you were color correcting, you would do this first still. And you would then go on top of this with some color corrector and then set that with powder. But I don't do that because I'm in the process of lasering my facial hair off. And fortunately, I don't have very thick and, well, my hair is dark, but it just doesn't grow very fast. So it's not really a problem unless I'm in drag for 16 hours in a day, which does happen, hence why I'm getting laser. I just can't be bothered with color correcting and that whole extra step. And plus, obviously, there's more than the color involved, there's the texture too. I'd rather just have a smooth canvas. And the reason why I have this Kryolan thing is not because it's good. I feel like primers are just primers. So long as they're not $2 from the op shop or something, all the primers should be pretty much the same. I only had this one because I ran out of other products. And I was at Kryolan, and I was like, you know what? Why not? One thing about Kryolan is don't waste your money on their eyeliners. They're the same thing with primers. Eyeliner is an eyeliner. So as long as it's not $2 from the $2 store, it should be fine. Now, when it comes to my foundation, I'm a firm believer that you need to do more than just the face. And that's most drag queens' belief. But I hold myself to a higher standard than just the neck. So you've got to do the ears, and you've got to do down the neck, and if you're showing chest, I think you should cover that with your foundation as well. And when they come in sticks that last as long as these, shouldn't really be a problem. I love the Kryolan TV paint sticks because, as you can see, I'm having a bad skin day. Literally does not matter what bad skin day, you know? It's good for all things facial hair, acne. They last, and you don't really sweat them off. Actually, I say that, I don't really sweat them off. I've seen some other people do that, but I am blessed not to sweat in my face. But they do hold up better than most other foundations. Now that I've put my base shade down, I go in with my contour, and it's the same for Makeup Forever that I used on my eyes before. I do use another contour. I have one in 2 different colors. I've got this one, which I guess is more like a bronzer. Okay, and then the next thing is my highlight. So I kind of do this now in 2 different stages. I'll put down the TV paint stick in white and then blend it out. And then I have a secret weapon that just helps make it pop, you know? Because it's the same consistency as the other paint sticks that I've put down so far. It just blends really easily and puts down that blanket of white. And then once that blanket is down, I then go in with the Sephora. Honestly, there are probably better ones with like more payoff and stuff like that, but it's actually really hard to find a white concealer when you're in a hurry. And I think I bought this because I ran out of something and I had a geek that day. And so this was all I could get, but it works well enough. It's fine. But once the white's down, you can layer it with some of this cream and let it just sit there and, this is not the right word, but congeal, you know, like let it firm up in the air. If that makes sense, I don't know. And then that way it sort of stays on those impact points where you've put them. And you can see now we have a bit more pop where there wasn't so much before. And then the next thing I do, there's a reason for this order, but I will go in with my nose contour. And then I mentioned before that I have another concealer that I like to use sparingly. So this one is MAC, also because I ran out of something and this was all I could get in time. So this one is, you can see it's quite a bit darker, and this is what I used to use to contour my entire face, but now I only use it for like the really deep parts. So if I wanted a real like dramatic high contrast face, I would probably add some here just to deepen up the cheeks, but this is daytime, so I don't necessarily want to do that. But what I do want to do is the underside of my nose, because basically any lighting that you are going to be in, almost any, you will have a shadow underneath your nose, or at least you should look like you have a shadow underneath your nose. And that'll help me look like I have an upturned nose, when in reality I don't. And it's very discreet because no one thinks that that's not a shadow underneath my nose, because in any lighting, everyone assumes when you look at somebody's face that the underneath of their nose is brown because of shadow, not because of makeup. I don't know if I explained that in the right words, but you get the picture. By the way, I'm fully aware of this habit of explaining things in my kooky crazy own way and then being like, I don't know, you figure it out. I think you get the, so yeah, even though I'm being lit directly from front on, including from underneath, it doesn't look wrong that the underneath of my nose is dark, because everyone's brain assumes that light comes from above. And so this just helps me look like I've got a smaller, more petite, upturned nose. So when it comes to the powder, I have this big mixing thing. I dropped it at one point and I've had to fix it up with a bunch of tape. But basically it's a combination of like, I don't know, 10 different powders Frankensteined together. I think there's some Krylon setting powder in there. There's some stuff from Kohl's. There might be baby powder in this. I don't really know. But the secret for me is using a combination of translucent powders and also like colored setting powders. I don't know, they're all translucent, but I get the ones that have a little bit of pigment in them because I like to have a little bit extra coverage when it comes to, you know, things like this. Because the Krylon TV paint sticks, they're great, don't get me wrong, but they have limits. Everything has a limit. So I like to give them a helping hand with extra coverage like so. And while my face is covered in powder, I'm gonna disappear. I'm gonna do the underside of my eyes with eyeshadow. Actually, I lied to you. I've taken my powder off and I've done the underside of my eyes, but I'm gonna go in with my powder contour and blush and stuff. So when it comes to powder contour, I just use bronzer, but I use like a cool tone. So this one is just L'Oreal. I bought it from Kohl's. Honestly, this may not be the best contour, but I haven't had a problem with it and I like the way that it works, so I've had no reason to explore other contours. I've just been using this for as long as I know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? Now when it comes to blush, I pretty much always do the exact same blush every single time, and it's purely because I like the color. So this is the Nikki Tutorials Beauty Bay palette thingy, and I'm a big fan of coral blush. Sometimes I'll give it a little extra oomph with a bit of red in the deeper parts of my cheeks. Just use eyeshadow as blush. Drag queens love to do it because blush tends to, like real blush, tends to fade as your face gets a little bit oily throughout the day and things like that, but you want your cheeks to be blushy. So eyeshadow will sit there and possibly stain you a little bit, but not enough to actually notice a difference when you take your makeup off. But that means that it just stays. It just does. Now it's time for eyeliner, and I'm gonna start with things that I don't recommend when it comes to eyeliner. So, first of all, there's this Half Moon brand eyeliner thing that comes in this like weird, like thin on one side, thick on the other. I'm not a fan because it's so dry, and then it's difficult to get detail and then pay off. And you're also going to disturb a lot of the makeup underneath. I think it's to do with the way or the material that the brush is made of, or not brush, but the tip is made of. And I don't recommend gel eyeliners, just because in my experience, they bleed. You know, you gotta set them, and then if you set them with black eyeshadow, then the eyeshadow over time just gets a little muddy. Or if you set it with translucent powder, then you don't get as good of a payoff because you've reduced some of the blackness. I do recommend a pen eyeliner and then a liquid eyeliner. So for the pen, this is the Maybelline New York. Anything that costs about 20 bucks should be fine. And then when it comes to liquid eyeliners, just the Sephora home brand. Honestly, don't reinvent the wheel. It's like $11 or something. It comes in this little inkwell, and you can use that for greater detail. And the reason I recommend a pen liner is because you can use the pen liner to do the stuff on your eyelids that you need to set fast, and that way there's no transfer onto the top part of your lid. And then you can use the liquid eyeliner to get the details, like the tips of your eyeliner or the inner corner and stuff like that. I fucked up the underside of my eye. Now I have to go back and fix it, which is quite annoying, but that's life. I'm gonna dip into this Sephora and do the inner corner. There's just more precision. The drawback being that it takes longer to dry. Now, while that's drying, I'm gonna prepare my white eyeliner. And this one, I've played around with different white eyeliners before, but they're all kind of shitty. So what I have is this Kryolan Ink Pot HD Cream Liner, and I have my makeup blend, and I just kind of do the same thing I did with my eyebrows before and just mix my own white eyeliner. And then again, gonna let that dry before going back in with another black line to sort of connect the tip to my waterline. And then the last thing to do with my eyes is my waterline. So what I like to do is I'll take my black eyeshadow and then use that same makeup blend, drop it right onto the pan, and then mix some waterline eyeliner. And I do this because I've tried the gels, I've tried the creams, I've tried the pencils, and just nothing really works as good. They're either not pigmented enough, or they just don't last, or any reason between. Okay, and we're done with the eyes apart from the lashes. So we can move on to finishing the rest of the face, because lashes for me are always the last step When it comes to highlighter, I use the Kimchi glitter shots. This is a different formula. Oh no, maybe it's not the glitter shot. What is it? I think it is glitter shot, but it's a different formula to the one that I was saying I don't like before. This one is like a pot of like, I don't know, cream, gel, something mixed in with a bunch of glitter. And that's because glitter makes everything better. I don't know. But I don't just use this. I will then go over the top. This is like a little primer for my actual highlighter. Now when it comes to highlighter, don't use eyeshadow. Nothing beats a proper formulated highlighter. Okay, even if it's a cheap one. This is just NYX Born to Glow. I got given this by a friend yonks ago. I used it at first and then I discovered some eyeshadows have glitter in them, or you know, they're shimmery. And so I went through the longest phase of exclusively using eyeshadows for my highlighter. But now I've switched back because I realized I was wrong. Now I can't find my highlighter brush. Found it. Okay. Don't get fooled. I'm not using the fan because it actually has an advantage. I'm using the fan brush because I can easily tell that's a highlighter brush and I don't want to mix up my highlighters with any of my other powders. Now we can move on to lips. For the liner, I use an actual like liner. I used to use liquid just to sort of carefully trace the outline, but now I have enough money to buy actual lip liners, and honestly, they're not that expensive. Any, I guess, reputable brand will do. So this is MAC. I have a few P. Louise from that advent calendar. Honestly, the Sephora ones are pretty good. And they're like, I don't know, $10 maybe? And I generally will do one of two different lip colors. I'll go with a nude or I'll go with a red. And I basically will just do one or the other combination. So yeah, this is the MAC lip liner in Boldly Babe. Don't know how long I've had this, but I rate it. It's pretty good. Now you've probably guessed, but we're gonna go with the nude lip combination today. So my version of a nude lip is pretty pinky. This is the House Labs. I also love a lip gloss. So this is a drag queen's best friend because it was formulated to be completely transfer proof, right? Now I'm not using it as intended. You're not supposed to layer this over any other product, but it's still a lot more transfer proof than any other lip gloss ever, even when it's layered on top of something else. Now I'm gonna put my lashes on off camera, and when I come back, I'm going to teach you a thing or two about wigs. Excellent, I have gone ahead and applied my lashes, and I even put on a wig for you. I'll put on my costume later, but for now, I just wanna focus on wrapping up this video, and then I gotta get in the zone. So when it comes to lashes, I can only recommend using Duo lash glue, whether you wanna use clear or if you wanna use the black drying glue like mine. Kind of makes no difference except for I find the clear one is a bit more reflective, and so under certain lights you can see the glue and it just looks not that great. But they're both great quality and inexpensive, so why not? The other thing is when it comes to lashes, I highly recommend just buying a whole bunch of different styles of lashes from AliExpress. They come in big trays, packs of like 8 or 9 pairs of lashes or whatever. And you can play around, you can cut them up, you can Frankenstein them together, and they cost like $2 for a pack of like 8. It's the same stuff that you buy from like the makeup stores for like $15, except there's more options. So I definitely recommend doing that. So when it comes to the wig, my favorite product is my very own Khaki Originals. I worked on the product myself, made by me for everyone who wants to look beautiful and delicious. This is a double stack in the color Sickening Silver, and I put so much blood, sweat, tears into every single part of designing this wig, from the lace to the density to the colors to everything. So yeah, I'm really proud of them, and I obviously think they're a great product, so get into it. Available internationally. What do I use to glue it on my head with, you ask? It's very strong glue. This is the Kryolan TV Mastix Spirit Gum. There are different types of spirit gum. I use the TV Mastix one because the older drag queens told me to. I have used the other ones before. To be honest, didn't really notice a difference. Apparently this one's not as shiny. My one tip when it comes to applying your spirit gum is apply it to the lace, not your face. Because otherwise you're gonna be rubbing around all this makeup, right? So I'm just gonna glue it down and lift up the lace and just sort of applying pressure upwards so that I'm not dragging the brush against the makeup, and that's how I'm going to apply all of this glue all the way around. And then probably the last product that I have to mention when it comes to doing drag is the humble got to be hairspray, got to be glued cans of hairspray. I use this for multiple things, obviously hairspray, but I also use it to sort of blend my lace a little bit. And that just provides an extra seal between you and the transparent lace. And when there's an air gap between the lace and your makeup, then it can lighten the lace and make it look more visible. So you kind of just want to seal it in, and it provides a little bit of extra hold as well. And then you can go in, you can mattify it with some translucent powder or something. And that's pretty much it. I chucked some earrings on. I need to go chuck my cozy on, and then we are ready for our close-up, Mr. Charles. Yeah, I don't know. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions about the product and the way that I use them, let me know. But I mean, I think it's all pretty self-explanatory, or I went ahead and I explained it anyway. Hope you enjoyed this video. I am committed to posting more. I know it's been over a month, but I've had some things going on that nobody knows about. That's not true, everyone's up in my business, but you know what I mean. I've had things going on, and I promise I will be uploading weekly from now on. Anyway, bye.